Happy VA Wednesday. So today we're going to be talking about how a lender looks at VA disability income when you're looking at getting a VA loan. So if you're new to the channel, if you're not, say it with me. My team is licensed in 50 states. They're one of the top purchase teams in America. I've actually been ranked the #1 VA lender in America 2 years in a row, thanks to you guys. So I really appreciate your support. We're here to help you. We do waive our lender fee on every VA loan, which saves you money. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll help you plan whether you want to buy a house in 2 months, a month, or 10 years from now. Seriously, like that's my whole thing. It can take planning, and we're here for you to do that. You're never wasting our time, ever. So remember that. 786-933-2077. Okay, let's get into VA disability income. There's sometimes I'll talk to a borrower and they'll be like, I thought you couldn't use VA disability income. Another lender said you can't use it. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Look, here's the thing, guys. VA disability income is income. It is non-taxable income as well. It is coming from the government. It is one of the most reliable sources of income that is out there. So as a lender, when I hear that someone has VA disability income, I don't go, we can't use that. Do you have like a job too? No, I'm like, awesome, what do you get, right? Because whatever that number is, I'm going to gross it up. And what that means is that when I'm looking at your debt to income, because it's non-taxable, for every $1,000 you get, I treat it like it's $1,250, okay? Now, sometimes we will see veterans get declined by lenders because the lender doesn't know that VA disability income is non-taxable, okay? Never assume that a lender knows anything. I don't know. I guess I came out fighting again today, guys. It's just, maybe it's my age range, right? Maybe I'm at that special time in my life where I'm going to be feisty. But no, it's true, because a lot of times, like, I'll hear, oh, well, they said I could only do 200,000. And I'm like, what? You know, and like, this will be like Texas. And I'm like, you can do 400,000 because you're 100%. You're also not going to have property taxes once you file for the exemption. At 400,000, I'm not even maxing you out. And I show them the math and they're like, wow, I can't believe that other lender. Why didn't they tell me that? They didn't know. Okay, so what you need to know if you received VA disability income is, number one, yeah, it's income. Number two, yes, we can use it as a lender. Number three, we gross it up. That's right. So for every $1,000 you get, I'm going to treat it like it's $1,250 when I'm qualifying you. Also, we're going to be thinking about what state you're in and if you get any property tax exemptions. Now, look, it's important that you guys are looking for this too, because do I know every single property tax exemption in the United States by county, by your rating? No, absolutely not. And look, stuff can change. So one of the things that I would recommend that you do is, if there's a specific county that you're looking at buying at, I would look at property tax exemptions for disabled veterans. You know, there's some parts of the country where it's really cut and dry. Texas, 100%, no property taxes. Yes, you still have to file for it after close, but it's easy. Florida, 100%, no property taxes. Yes, you have to file for it after close. Yes, there's specific times you can file. Sometimes you do pay a little bit of a tax bill before you get that exemption. California, man, I'm just gonna tell you guys, California is a headache. So no, if you're 100%, you don't get all your property taxes waived unless, you know, the house is under XYZ, your income's under XYZ. You know, I have yet to see probably more than one person that actually qualifies under that guideline. And what I see a lot of in the veteran community is that, you know, people try to be helpful, which is great. It's super cool. And you'll see a chat group where they're saying, hey, like, you know, am I going to have to pay property taxes? And let's say it's a veteran in California and a veteran in Texas responds, hey, I'm 100% too. I don't pay property taxes. That's Texas, right? In California, it's going to depend on what this person's buying. If it's an $800,000 house, they're not going to see much of a break at all to property taxes. And that's the thing. You want to make sure that wherever you're looking, you're going to the county property tax assessor's site and you're looking up property tax exemptions for disabled veterans and you're reading it. And I would also suggest calling them and verifying and asking them about the process. There's some parts of the country where you have to live in the house for a year before you can qualify for the exemption. So, as a lender, there's certain states where when I qualify you, depending on your rating, I don't put property taxes in the equation. There's other states where even if ultimately they'll be waived after you go through the hoops, I do. And that's going to be the states where there's some sort of delay, there's a calculation that they do after they review stuff. I err on the side of caution in most cases. And what that means is what I don't want to have happen is I don't want to collect for taxes, and then all of a sudden you get a tax bill and you're like, Jen, I just got a $5,000 tax bill. And I'm like, I don't have money to pay it because I didn't ask you for tax money, and it's one of those states where the exemption doesn't kick in for a while. Okay. And look, there's a lot of states that really don't give you anything. And it's a shame. I think that, states having their own policies is a really good thing. Like, Florida versus California, pick your favorite state. I moved to Florida. But at the same point, I do feel like with stuff like property tax exemptions, it would be nice. It should be, if you're 100% disabled veteran, even 80, 90%, probably 70, honestly, I don't think you should pay property taxes. But that's my personal feeling, state by state. And then some states, county by county. So really important that you guys recognize that. Now, here's what you need to know also. So the way I figure out what your VA disability is I'm generally going to be going off of your certificate of eligibility. So when you fill out an application with me, we have a bot. I know. Look, I'm never going to let a robot talk to you, but I'll let a robot do some of our work. The bot reaches out to VA, it gets your COE. 9 out of 10 times the bot's successful. On your certificate of eligibility, if you're receiving VA disability income, it's listed on there. Yes. Now, it's always a good idea if you recently had a change in your VA disability income, ask the lender, say, hey, what are you using for my income? I recently had a change. The reason I say that is you would expect that your certificate of eligibility would be updated immediately when they made that change. Like it's all connected, right? No, I mean, it'd be good, but no. I mean, look, I've had it where people have had what they get paid, increased by VA, but it hasn't reflected on their certificate of eligibility for a couple months. And you're like, do I have to wait? No, give me that letter that they gave you showing your new pay. My team reaches out to VA to get that certificate of eligibility updated, okay? Now look, once again, my team does a ton of VA, so we know how to do all of this. And if you're working with a lender that doesn't know how to do all of this, it's gonna be a miserable process. It's just that simple. And I know sometimes I get new loan officers that will come to my channel and they get really mad at me. But it's true. And it's like VA, like some people are like, oh, it was the worst loan ever. It was so hard. It was horrible. Probably because you were working with someone that didn't know what they were doing. If you didn't know, like, hey, let's verify this income. Yeah, the COE could be wrong. Yeah, we can get VA to update it. Like those hoops could take someone who hasn't jumped them 1,000 times. It could take them a couple weeks. No one needs that. No one needs that. No one needs that. So look, overall, yes, VA disability income. And from a lender's perspective, let me be crystal clear, guys. It's the easiest income for us to qualify you with. Now, party note. This is important. So, as I'm sure you know, I talk to a lot of veterans. I work with a lot of veterans every single day. And I do pay attention to what's going on in the veteran world, especially with disability. And what I've seen over the last few years is I've seen that people that may have been rated in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, even up until about probably 2018, there are a lot of them that have gone back recently and gotten their ratings increased, okay? VA itself has a better system for claims now, but if you're looking and you're like, they only rated me at 10%, but I should be higher, I would strongly, strongly recommend that you reach out to DAV.org, okay? They are a nonprofit organization. You do not need to pay an attorney to get your disability rating increased. That's one of the biggest scams out there. DAV.org does a great job. They really do. And I say this, they're a nonprofit that I personally donate to every single year. And the reason I donate to them is because I've heard the stories from my clients. I was talking to a pastor not too long ago, and he was like, Jen, I went to DAV. They got me from 70 to 100. It has changed our lives. And it does. And it changes your life because A, you're finally getting what you should have already gotten. B, it is more income. C, there can be more benefits. So look, I'm not saying file false claims or anything like that. I'm just saying it could be a good idea to reach out to them, to have them look at how you were rated and see if that's correct. There's been a lot that's come out in the last few years, lawsuits, finding out that there were contaminations from certain things that were done. And I do think it's important that you get every single thing you deserve. Okay? So questions, comments, as always, reach out. Once again, I mentioned DAV.org. But yes, you can buy a house with your VA disability income. So 786-933-2077. Thanks for watching.